Hello, everyone. Woo! Happy Sunday to you all. We're so honored, and you are in for a treat. Today, we are wrapping up the retreat. It's been 7 amazing days. We've been building up so much beautiful, strong energy, talking about redefining the feminine and really diving deeper into who we are as women in this life. So I am so honored to be here with my dear sister, Claire Do. Thank you for being with us.
Hello.
So I'll just resume a little bit of what has gone by so far. So we've gone through 5 days plus bonus days, right? We've talked about self-worth. What is it like really where is our self-worth and how do we set that standard for ourselves? And then that defines everything else for all other relationships. Then we met with Genevieve Young. We talked about the polarities and the emotional scale and how are we as women, emotional creatures, can navigate that scale and elevate our vibration and attract the right vibration to us. So really valuable for us to know how to manage our emotions. That can be our power as well. Then we chatted with Steph Wu and Shirley Tam about how to shine bright. And sometimes we think about shining bright is going to get something outside of ourselves, but we can't really get something outside of ourselves if we don't have it in here. So it was all about talking about these values and who you are deep inside. And then, really anchoring in your value and allowing that to shine bright. So that was really awesome. And then we went in with Lindsay and we talked about building your empire financially and who we are as we level up in business, creating more leverage, building our teams. She's also a queen of leverage. So she really talked about how to build great teams, Friday, we met with Sarah Surrenders and we talked about remembering our song, that unique vibration of who we are and our voice that has a deep connection with the throat and actually the womb, which we're going to talk more about today. And then yesterday we met with Mel Sirois and we talked about body and movement and how our body holds so much wisdom and how can we start tapping in and listening to that wisdom in the body. So I am so grateful to be here today. The personal story that I grew up with this International Women's Day, because back like in the USSR and Europe, like they would celebrate it for over 100 years now. It started with 2 German women who were like revolutionaries in 1902, I think. And they wanted to revolutionize the world and set new standards for women. But of course, just like anything else, that starts with a good intention. It kind of molds into the norm. So when I was growing up, and my mother and my grandmother, that day, Women's Day, was more about being nice, being sweet, definitely not sharing her voice or making people uncomfortable. So it was all about being proper and the good girl. And right now I laugh at that and I love to share that story because this is the opposite of what we're doing here. Is really like redefining who we are and giving ourselves permission and space to explore all these facets of who we are and how, wide and how much can we expand the personality of who we are. So Claire Do, welcome here, dear one. You've been a dear mentor, sister. I feel like we've been changing many hats. We're also part of a big spiritual family community. So that's like the base of where we go to. You've been accompanying women in their sacred cycles for over 11 years. You've taught me so much about the cycles, and I implement the cycles now also like in my teachings and everything, because I think that's one of the things that just changed completely the way I live my life, the way I see myself. And that's why I'm so honored to have you here today. And you also work not just with adult women, but you also start them early. You work with young girls even ages like 6 to 12 before they go into puberty as well, which is huge.
Yeah,
So,
more 9 years and up, things like that. Yeah.
That is so unique. That is so unique. So thank you so much for also holding that space for the little goddesses that are coming into the world. Thank you so, so much for being here. And so tell me about why did that bring you to the subject of the sacred cycles? How come you discovered it and how did you come to it?
It's just real simple. That was my need first, because the way I was raised, I'm going to turn 55 this year. And when I was young, we were not talking at all about that. My mom was not talking at all about that. I mean, really just a little bit, but she didn't receive any education about it at all,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is my own story. First thing that my encounter with the pill, because my menstruation were not on a regular base, so they gave me that. I was really sick. I was depressed. I didn't understood what's going on. It took me many years for that. And then after that, with my sexuality, what do I use as a contraception if I cannot use the pill because she's making me really sick? I cannot handle it. And then I was pregnant. And then I was like, oh, well, the way we are held in the hospital is really not the way I think it should be. And I say I think because in my feelings, in my intuition, I was like, this is not what I want. But I didn't know exactly what I want, because it seems really crazy to give birth alone, at your home or something like that. But this is what I did. At the end of this story for my first girl. And I met a midwife when I was 7 months and a half pregnant. And I was like, oh, perhaps I need someone else to help me going through that. And my mom was living in Europe. I was living here in Canada. So I didn't have any relatives, women from my bloodline to be with me. And then it was so on. And then I went to breastfeed. And at that time, I received fines, because it was forbidden in Montreal in 94, 95 to breast your baby. You cannot do that, even if you have a cover. If you were on a terrace at a cafe or something, I already had fines for that, because how they say that? I don't know how to say that in English, but you can show your body in public, even if it was covered, So that too, I was seeking for women to teach me, to help me through that, everything. And then it was my menstruation back when I finished to breastfeed, and what do I do with that, and how I go through, and so on. And then menopause also. So, so I was seeking for answers. I read a lot of books by that time. And then I followed formation with Miranda Gray, who started the Worldwide One Blessing.
Yes.
And she was one of the first to talk about the cycles. What does it mean, the cycles? What it is, what women are going through, and with the hormones. And then also had the teaching of our grandmother in Mexico and here in North America, like the native grandmothers.
Yeah.
So it's a whole mixed and yeah.
Beautiful.
So I began 11 years before circles and red dance, and then it grows. And then now I'm teaching and I'm doing consultation for women's. I grow my own herbs, and so this is the story.
We always have to start with ourselves, because I find like if we are seeking for answers and then we are finding them, and if we're finding something that works for us, then it transforms our life. And then we want to just share that with our tribes, share that with our circles, get everybody on board and excited, for sure. I find that especially when we go through pregnancy is like such an intimate experience. It's almost like we go back to that animal state, who we are. We're like sophisticated animals, but when we're pregnant, we're just like, I want cake, or I want, salty things. Like, especially, our bodies are changing so much, so it's very hard to repress our intuition and our intuitive responses. So I'm hearing that you were first feeling that something was off, that you were like going against the current in the system.
Yeah.
That it's like, I need
was
to breathe.
not okay, and even I have to admit something, I didn't even went to see a doctor because my mind is so strong. I knew that, my mind is so strong that I knew that if the doctor would ask, I don't know, whatever it is, have you that kind of problems, or did you encounter that? I would develop it, some kind of like a suggestion, and with the whole experience I was going through with the pill, because I was really, really sick. So I went back to the doctor a couple of times, to the gynecologist. And he was always like, no, you're going to get habit. Every woman has, sometimes it took more than 6 months, but I was really, really sick. And when I decided to stop against his will, I said, okay, it's enough. And then I was like, oh my God, this guy is the only authority who is supposed to help me to have a good health. And I have nobody else to answer me questions. And it was a bit of lack of trust, but I have been reading books during my pregnancy. And one book that was really precious for me, it's a book about births around the whole world. It's Muriel Bonnet-Delval. It's another moon dancer who wrote it. But by that time, I didn't know her. I met her something like 15 years after.
Wow.
In person in Mexico at the moon dance. And so that was very inspiring for me, that women shared their story and how they hold the sacred space for the birth. Because we are the door for a soul to come in a body. It's not nothing. Think of it. And this image that I already had inside me was not the same image that I could encounter in a hospital or something, right?
Yeah. That's beautiful. It just, to understand where things went off. And first of all, I want to honor you for being such a trailblazer, getting a ticket for breastfeeding in public, defying the odds. So you really trailblazed the path for us, for someone like me to be to fill in that gap where I'm like, the traditional ways that they're imposing, how I treat my body, how I treat my cycles, how I treat birth itself doesn't feel right. And I'm so fortunate to have sisters like you that are like, they've done that for years and years and years. And here is, another way. So first of all, I want to honor you for your courage, for your perseverance, and making this accessible now for so many women. I don't know how many hundreds of women you probably worked with that come to you, but I'm sure you've opened so much for them. And the other piece that I wanted to speak into is to understand where things are off right now, the way we feel, the way some other women feel. Right now they're giving birth and they can't even breathe, right? I don't want to get into that whole conversation, but it's just, there's, opening up spaces for women that can feel really fully get into that experience. I feel like we need to understand where we came from. And I think there is that gap. There is the gap of, where the traditional medicine is not being recognized. And it's like this guy, usually a man in a white coat, that tells you what you should be doing with your body. Like God, so it just feels like the whole system is not very conducive to listening to ourselves, to honoring The feminine cycles. So where have we gone off? I think there is a distinct moment of like where things have gone off.
I don't know exactly when it came, Marina, but it's the way we live. We just disconnected from Mother Earth. If I go back to, we have cycles, we have a cycle with our menstruation, and we have 4 phases. Is exactly the same as the 4 seasons of the natural world. And I don't know when humanity disconnected from when it exactly happened, you know?
Yeah.
I cannot tell, because in 2021 we realized that what we have learned at school or what we heard about the human history is perhaps a bit distorted. I don't want to go in that discussion now, but whatever, this is not important so much.
Yeah.
What is important is that we have to recognize that our interconnection with Mother Earth is broken. And we live in a masculine world. When I say that, I don't blame the man. I'm talking about the principle of the masculine energy, which is action. It's really the action and really like the structure and everything. And our structure actually is really masculine. It's alive. And we have to follow this every day. We have to, you know, perform and be on our X, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And this is not true. As women, we have to first integrate. We are cyclical women.
Yeah.
We are not linear beings, you know. We have these tides with our emotional world, you know, the water inside us, the water of our menstruation, the water of our tears, the water of our orgasms, you know, the milk that we are going to the baby. Like, water is plenty there, and water is the feminine emotional energy. So first of all, if I, as a woman, I just sit down for a while and look around me, what is outside? What is Mother Earth?
Yeah.
What is changing? How plants and beings and animals are, you know, what's going on outside? Because woman and Mother Earth are totally interconnected, you know? You cannot split them. We are the one who give birth, and not only to babies, but we can give birth to projects and ideas and communities. What's going on?
Beautiful.
And so the first step I can do is just to look outside and make perhaps a parallel between me and the earth, and to see how we are so much interconnected. I have seasons also. I go through these cycles where I birth and I die and I rebirth, you know? And we have, and the day we can reappropriate ourselves in this power, because it's a great power. It's the power of creation. As the Mother Earth gives birth to plants and things and all that we need to be alive, we are the creator of our lives. But if I want, you were talking before about the intuition and these messages we can have that we are not listening anymore in the situation of how we birth babies in 2021. And to be able to listen to this voice, I really need to go back in my cycles. And perhaps we talk about the cycles, because in these 4 seasons, as for the life itself, we are going through a birth, to a blooming, and to a death. And there are moments in the cycles that it's really important we hear, you know. And perhaps before to begin with the cycles, another thing that is really important for me is to understand what is the feminine energy, what is the feminine principle. And for me, this is this vessel, the womb. And the womb knows that everything is possible. Everything is already there.
Yeah.
But how can I find a posture where I just welcome what it is?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if the masculinity is the doing,
Mm-hmm.
the feminine is the being. So how can I
Mm-hmm.
be myself, this vessel
Yeah.
that welcome everything? Everything is possible,
Mm-hmm.
and I can birth everything. And
Yeah.
once a month, during the whole years we are fertile, that we are bleeding,
Mm-hmm.
we are going through these cycles. And even after menopause,
Mm-hmm.
I prefer the way the grandmothers say. They say that we keep the wisdom of our blood inside now, because we have to share it with our action and words outside for the community.
Yes.
We don't need to give birth the same way we did. And we
Yeah.
still have these cycles. It's more with the moon, or if
Mm-hmm.
you were used to take notes of your cycles, perhaps you know that with the moon, you know where you are in these cycles, because we don't have any more ovulation also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's beautiful that you're just, you know, phrasing it and placing it in that way, and just naming the feminine and how, you know, we are that sacred chalice of receptivity, receiving and being. And I think in our society, people have such a hard time, even like women, to receive, receiving abundance, receiving love, receiving life herself, you know, tapping into that like gratitude. But receptivity is not, again, it's, I don't find, like in our culture, at least not in North America, it's not something that is like praised. It's like, wow, you're so receptive. But we tend to praise more of these masculine qualities, where we're like, wow, you're so strong and you're such, you get shit done. Like that's praised in our culture. But you take time for self-care, you take time to pause and to listen. I feel like, yeah, that's, we still have a long way to go. And I see that in some other cultures, like the Mexican culture, for example, there's that feminine energy is a lot more welcome. You
yeah,
know, it's like,
it's all a question of, you know, the how can I say it to make a beautiful image? The bound, the precious sacred bond we have with life itself. Because I recognize, you know, I recognize my link with Mother Earth, with life itself.
mhm,
When I do so, I trust the present moment. I can welcome everything. It's easy to welcome, because there is no game there is with life itself. I
right,
don't have to gain her love. I don't need to gain her abundance.
yeah,
Give it's a, how you say that, birthright,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
I'm part of this life. I'm a sparkle of this huge, strong cosmic force.
yeah,
It's just I have a body, a different body than plants or animals or rocks. But I have my mission,
hmm,
and there is only one Marina birth on Earth, and there is only one Marina who's gonna die, and you are unique. And we are here to participate the symphony of the cosmos. And by knowing so deeply in my heart, in my body, in my spirit, in my uterus, that I'm part of this life, Mother Earth and life are always providing me what I need if I honor and make this link alive.
hmm,
So there is no disruption after to be able to receive,
right,
because I know that I deserve.
yes,
There's no game. It's the human. I'm sorry for the word. It's a human shit. All these things, you know, that we learn when we were kids, that and especially women, that we have to be beautiful and quiet and blah blah blah. We deserve,
Yeah.
if we want to be loved or respected or honored, or
Yeah. Yeah.
and we have to let it go, and now say, wow, I'm alive, I'm a woman, I'm part of this whole thing, I deserve my place, and I can use my uterus is the space I can go and sit down and listen to the messages. It's where lives my wisdom.
Yes.
The soul, the feminine soul of the woman is living in our uterus. Our uterus is the most sacred space on the planet.
Oh, my whole body, my yoni, my uterus is just vibrating as you name all of that. It's like remembering. My body is just resonating with your words right now, remembering that, yes, this is our birthright. This is who we are. There's nowhere to get to then be worthy or deserving or abundant or receptive. I am who I am. And that is sacred law of life.
Yeah.
Claire d'Eau, you are speaking about like the direct connection to our womb, to our yoni, and to the earth. How can we deepen the connection with the earth?
It's with our cycle. It's totally being aware and follow our cycles. By that I mean, like, we take notes every day. It's not an obligation to make a whole bestseller, right?
Yep.
But just a couple of words to keep track. How I feel, how was my mental? Do I was like really, organizing things, or I'm like more dizzy or dreamy or sad, and my emotions, my physical, do have like a lot of energy, or today I feel really more, slow motion.
Yeah.
Everything, I eat salty, sugary, what kind of dreams I can have, it's to take note of everything that is potent during that day.
Yeah. I think sexual energy could go in there too, right? How's my
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's great. That's wonderful.
And I have a window open, so it's still snowing this morning here. So, and how does it work, this cycle? What are the 4 phases?
Yeah. So I just want to ask our women who are present with us, give us a yes in the chat if you are familiar with your cycles already, if you are tracking your cycles, if you know the conversation that we're talking about today right now. And give us a no in the chat if you are not tracking your cycles yet, or this is semi-what a newer conversation to you and you want to deepen your connection with your cycles. And let us know, how is that experience for you? What are you feeling? What are you getting? What's needed? Okay, so some women are saying yes. We
I
are
the chat.
No. We are the door that allows the soul to come into the world. I love that. That's what you said. All right, so keep them coming. We want to have this as interactive as possible. Of course, we miss these live circles. We miss the live presence, right? Like when we sit in a circle. So I want to ask you a question. Another question about that is, like, in your experience with like working with women so much, what do you feel are like the main problems or the main diseases in the body when they don't follow their cycle, or they repress their cycle, or they're being repressed because of the medical system or something?
I mean, it's really different from one woman to another, because we are unique also, as we just say. But yeah, disruption of the cycle. Otherwise, it's a lot of how you say that, when it hurts, when you are bleeding, like this discomfort. It could be headache. It could be depression. A lot of women are depressed. I want to talk about that. If may I just say something about this before we
Yes,
go on?
please. Let's give voice to that.
I want to place that depression is also the same thing as the third season of our own cycle, which is premenstrual syndrome, like when the drama queen is going out the closet, you know. And it's so depression. This is really important because the way our society is holding what is depression or how you say that, burnout. Yeah. So there is a lot, actually. A lot of women are going through many symptoms, and this is okay. It's our guru. It's a part of ourself which tells us, please sit down and listen. Listen to what I have to say. It's our body, it's our soul. It's a really deep call. So I want to say that because some women are experiencing this down every month, really deep. And the more we go there and the more we don't listen to that, then we have physical disagreement, or it's hurting, you know. The more we don't answer, you know, and then we become sick, you know. So this is like depression, headache, menstruation that are hurting. Sometimes it's also could be like your sexuality. It doesn't work well with your drive. It could be the way you eat. It's very different from the nature of the woman, you know. Yeah, mostly that. And when we get these signs, whatever it is, like suddenly your menstruation stops, or suddenly your menstruation, it's a whole flow, or whatever, suddenly something is there and is repeating month after month. This is a code. Rogers, are you there? So you stop, you sit, you take your time, you listen to what is not aligned. And it's why I want to talk about the fourth doors of the cycles, because each of these doors has a message for us. And each of these doors is bringing opportunities. If I know what is going on and how I can answer to these calls in the right way.
Yeah. So it's beautiful. Before we dive into the cycles and the doors, I'm feeling like, there's like a lot that you were saying. And, you know, since I became aware of my cycles, and I built my whole life around them right now. My personal life, my life, like with my partner, like I don't cook when I'm in my winter time, right? When I'm in my moon time, like he cooks. My daughter knows that. Like they're actually like happy to show up and to support me now. My business too, like I built all of my events and our like, you know, things that we need to do around the cycles as well. So it's a lot of fun. And becoming conscious of that, it's beautiful that like as the embodied feminine, like we give permission to do for women in our community now, you know, women that work for us as well, like everybody has the right to take those days off. They're sacred days, they're praised, you know. So as a conscious company, I also like, you know, I always recognize that in other people. If they're doing the same, if women are allowed to take that time off, not as a sick day, it's not a sick day, but as a self-care day, you know?
It's more than a right.
Yeah.
Our own nature. And the day women are learning and are experiencing to honor their cycle, their own natural rhythm, we're going to change the world. Because the women are holding the society. I don't want to go in a feminine dialogue, but I mean, we are the one who are raising the kids. We are the one who are holding a lot in the society. Even the women who don't have their own kids, I mean, you know, women are holding the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
So the day we reappropriate ourselves, our power of creatrix,
Yes.
and we honor our true nature,
Mm-hmm.
and then step by step, if we talk about it, I had this discussion this week for the International Women's Day, you know, in another interview, and I was like, but we are the one who are going to change the world, and it's very simple. If I begin to take note of my cycle, if I begin to really honor it, even if I am in a entreprise, in a business that is not mine, okay? And this morning I have this huge headache, this is an example I took from the conversation I had. This woman was having super big headache for 14 years, and she was too shy to tell it. And the day she was crying in the office, and everybody saw that something was going wrong, and she opened herself, like the more than the half of the office, the women were like, I'm the same. So if we open up to our colleagues, to our boss, to everywhere, you know, we have to open this conversation by being authentic, where the feminine has her time, you know, how I can handle a good job, how I can handle a good life, how I can handle my family if I don't honor my boundaries.
Beautiful.
But we have to name it. You know, and it could just open a conversation. It's not like, I have the right. No. It's like, I really need that. This is my nature. And I think if all the women, we share this info in between us, and we invite other women to do so, then we can change the society.
Yeah. Aho. Yeah. And I think that's where, thank you so much for naming that. I love that very often, like in the women's circles, when we do talk about like the red tent and we talk about our cycles, first of all, we start with, how was your experience? How was your first experience with the moon? What went down? How is your moon going now?
Yeah.
I think it's like really starting that conversation by being really honest. What is there? You know, what is there now, or how did that start off? Because that gives us a trajectory in life, you know?
Yeah.
If our mother doesn't really honor that and just, you know, gives us the pad to like, here, go to the bathroom and take care of yourself. And then, you know, some women are shamed about that as little girls. It's like, it's not, you know, there's no room for that. There's no celebration for that. That can set us off on a trajectory to how we relate with our own cycles. You know, there's still a lot of cultures that treat women as dirty when they're on their moon, right? Like, that's horrible, you know? So it's a long journey for us to reappropriate our power, reappropriate our cycles. And it's almost like a shadowy piece sometimes for us to go back into the earth, you know? That's why I love the form of the uterus, right? It's like, it's a whole cycle to, or downwards or upwards, like, you know, however you want to look at it, of course. But it's a journey to go to what's unknown, what's underneath the discomfort, the shadow pieces, the behind the doors, you know, and really discover what is there. What does that cycle, what does that, the womb space, like the big great void, like the mystery has to tell us, and let our own bodies teach us what's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
And it's interesting because the cycles is, when you say we go to the shadow and we go back to the light, which is exactly the same movement as the sacred wheel of life, you know, day, night, you know, all the season, summer, winter. But I lose what I was saying. In this opposite, what did you say? I was like, yeah, the feminine cycle is also like life. We don't have to feel ashamed of having dark sides or things that I didn't process, and
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
women have wounds. We have our wounds. We have all the lineage wounds that we inherited. Perhaps we are the generation now, or all the women incarnated on earth now are perhaps here to heal that and say, okay, you gave me shit, but you also gave me all the strengths and all the courage and all this knowledge you had to go through life, to go through the worst, to go through the famine, to grow to the, everything that happened. And these women, perhaps they lose everything, but they still go on because in their heart they hold this belief of a benevolent and beautiful humanity. And this we inherit also. And our life is like the birth. The birth is dirty. There is blood, there is poo, there is sweating, there is tears, there is scream. We come from that. We are part of that. Our life also can be messy, and it's okay. It's part of the deal.
Amazing. What also is coming up when you talk about embracing all of the cycles, to me, when I think about, like, women are known to live longer than men. And I think it's because of that connection to our emotions, to the sacred waters inside of us that are, like you're saying, through our veins, our blood, our tears, our sweat, our juices. And we get to recycle, like we get to really eliminate that every month, which unfortunately our male companions don't get that opportunity. So I love how, like, women are like, if I can consciously bring my intentions and my fears and my, doubts and all that emotional chaos that I'm going through into my cycle and really allow myself to be rebirthed, it's such a gift, you know?
The way it works. If we want to be healthy, and we want, like, the next premenstrual phase, like the drama queen is just sitting with us having tea instead of suiciding herself for the third time in a day, we have to make this work. But it's interesting. Perhaps we can begin now with the cycles for the women to understand what you are talking about actually. Because this is the most sacred phase of our cycle.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's go into that. Let's go into that.
Because I'm wondering if the women can follow what we are talking about.
Beautiful. So the women that are in the retreat with us, you ladies have a beautiful workbook, and there is a page here for Claire d'eau, and I invite them to take notes and to make visuals of what you're going to be talking about, because to me, like, I love representing it like that. It's more concrete, it's more visual. So if you can follow Claire d'eau with the cycles and make notes of that to paint a brighter picture for yourself, I think it's going to be a lot more understandable.
During the time they grab their handbook, je vais juste fermer ma fenêtre. I'm going to close my window because it's really becoming cold.
All right. And ladies, if you still need a workbook, just type workbook in the chat and our team are going to send you the workbook, okay? Awesome. All right. Let's just take a few breaths together before we dive into this beautiful and sacred work. Let's just take a few breaths in through our nose and all the way down into our hearts, our chest, and out into our bellies, our wombs, our root, connecting with the earth, connecting with our womb. And if it helps you, you can even place your hands like that in a little heart shape on your womb. And let's take a few breaths to connect energetically with the womb. As you're breathing into her, dropping your awareness and your attention into your womb space, into the earth, and simply being present and listening to what is there. We can start by saying thank you. We can start by just saying hello. I'm here to listen today. I'm here to connect. And you might see images, you might hear a message. You might be a range of sweetness and yumminess to hollow crickets, there's nothing happening, to maybe sadness. And whatever is there, just hold it. Like the mama that you are to yourself. Hold that sacred womb space and drop into that. Breathe into the earth. And as we come back out here to listen to Claire d'Eau and her wisdom, feel into that space. So even if your eyes are, back on the screen and your attention is opening up here, stay connected to that womb space as you listen. I'll pass it on to you, my love.
Merci. Avant de commencer sur les cycles, j'ai envie de vous faire...
Let's go.
Sorry, I'm speaking in my heart. Before I go on with the cycle, I just want to ask the women to feel now in their womb. When I tell you, you are part of the earth. You are part of this cosmic abundance, which is life. And I invite you to listen to what I'm going to say in this posture, knowing that you are unique and there is no comparison to do or to be. Even what I'm going to say is not exactly what you are going through. What you are is perfect. It's also part of the feminine, because she knows so strongly that she belongs to this life. There is no need for comparison. And we can honor and love really deeply our uniqueness. And our cycle is this way to discover myself and to entertain a connection with my wisdom and my womb, my power to create. This is also an answer to my mission of life. There are many answers if I take time to listen. So
I'm also feeling, as you speak into that, I'm also feeling like a little tightness in my throat. And I think that's that connection of womb and our voice that we spoke about with Sarah a few days ago. And if any woman is also feeling that, I would invite you to exhale through the mouth, give it some humming or voice. Yeah, these two chakras are very connected, direct
you know why?
Our expression and our being, right?
Yeah. You know why?
Go.
Let me explain you. When the embryon is forming in the womb, the mouth and the vagina are the same cell. Did you realize that the quality of the skin inside the body is the same inside our vulva and vagina? Is the only two places we have this kind of skin. It's different. So this same cell, after a while, is splitting, and there is a link in between both that goes through the spine. So it's why when I'm very, how you say that, mad about something, but I shut up. When my boundaries are not respected and I don't say it, I often can have an infection down. My mouth up doesn't speak, so the other one is reacting, you know? Same thing. If I'm not expressing with my mouth down in my sexuality, my sensuality, or whatever, my mouth up is going to say bad things. We become mad. It's the way we're like, blah, 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 and we can be bitches.
Yeah.
You know? So this is really interesting, like this link. So next time something happens, we can just connect to say, both are experiencing the same thing in the same time.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you for that explanation. I never knew that there was one cell at one time, and then they split into two. It makes so much sense. A lot of women that I talk to and work with, they say that, you know, there's that self-expression, that there's fear. And what is the lower chakras of the sacral chakra and the root chakra are safety. Safety, right? Grounded energy, roots. So energetically, to me, they're the same. It makes sense.
So being connected with the natural world and not forgetting I'm part of this is really comforting. We don't need to fear anymore. If I'm freaking out because I have self-doubt or something, just go and kiss a tree and remember you are part of this. And Mother Earth and life would never let us down. They have our back. Always, we are not alone. We feel alone because we are disconnected. Yeah.
So let's go into the cycles. And for those of you who are joining us in the private group, Safe Space for Conversation, let us know, how are you feeling in the space of the womb right now with that meditation that we dropped into? And I'm going to pass it on to Claire Do for the cycles. And Someone else is saying, thank you for that, Claire. I had no idea. So, yeah. Beautiful.
So the cycle is on the circle, as the life, as the planet, as the moon, as everything. And then it begins from the first quarter, is the pre-ovulation. In this phase of the month, my consciousness is really more around here. It's more my mental. I'm just fresh. I just finished my menstruation. And then I have this huge amount of estrogen that is kicking up because they want me to have my ovulation at the top of the cycle, right? So, and it's we just made a refresh, right? Not refresh in the sense that something is dirty, but it's the same we do the program, you know, everything is all new, brand new cells, brand new ideas. It's the phase of the maiden, it's the spring. So lots of energy, and my conscious is clearly in this mental phase. It's perhaps the more masculine phase of all the cycle. So it's a good time to make all my programming my things, beginning, starting projects, doing all these steps. I can make my taxes, you know, all that stuff that needs my mantra. I can do lists, perhaps, or I can schedule all my month. Because after that, we're going to see that we have phases we are not there anymore, and it doesn't work, you know. Try to make your list. Nice try, you know. So, and it's a very active part of the cycle. Then we go on the ovulation. Ovulation is like the summer. It's the archetype of the mother. We are still going up, you know, if I see the circle of the cycles, all the first half is something really my champion phase, it's go up, and the other phase is more going down. I have menstruation, and it's more my sabotage phase. It's interesting to name it. I name it now. So then after the spring, go to summer. It's the blooming, it's where I rise, where I at the peak of my sensuality, sexuality. I feel good. It's a little bit less active phase. If I look at the circle, I have like pre-ovulation and premenstruation that are on the line like that, are more active. And I have ovulation and menstruation, and I have this line there, which is more passive. It's not, we are not doing, I'm going to place something there. When women are not doing something, you know what I mean? We have been learning that we need to do something. And when I'm on my sofa or not doing something on my to-do list, I feel so guilty,
Yeah.
This is bullshit, right?
Okay.
Because a woman, yeah?
Let's take note of that, okay?
When a woman is not doing something, like in the ovulation, we are less active, but we are more present in the care. It's more being. Okay? So I come back to when a woman does not something, we are still doing something because we are spiritual beings. And even if it's not incarnated in an object or a task or a project or a work or a whatever, you are doing something. And please, women, forget yourself for all the times you found yourself guilty about doing nothing. When we do nothing, we are still a task, Being a woman is a full-time job. So, right?
Yes.
And we're going to talk about that, doing nothing more in the cycle. But for me, that was important to place it because it's still an active phase. I'm very open to my relations. It's the best moment in the cycle to talk with your lover or partner, because your heart is totally open and you are really in a beautiful, positive phase that you can hold the discussion and the talk. I want to put here also, because there are many women that are in businesses. The time we bloom, can we celebrate our victories? Can I manage sometime to honor myself for all I did good in these cycles or in life? Because as women, we are hard on ourselves, and we don't spend so much time to celebrate what we are and our victories. So I invite you the ovulation, ovulation is good. It's the good one. At this part of the cycle, take a time to honor yourself.
Beautiful.
Take a time to recognize how beautiful you are. And then when I get my egg and it's not fecunded, so the egg needs to go out of the body. Then and I forget that. My conscious that was around the head at the first stage, pre-ovulation, during ovulation, it goes, and now it's in the heart. And then when ovulation is over, we receive progesterone to help us to bleed at the last phase of the cycle. And this is the thing that brings us down, because estrogen is a very happy, hippie, yuppie hormone, but progesterone is the one that gave us in the down. So this phase is also our guru. This is the hardest phase of the month. because the energy after the heart, it goes down the plexus solar. It's where we have our ego. It's where we have our personality, and where we engrave a kind of power, or how I present myself in the world, what I share to the world. Yeah. So it's the tricky, touchy part of us also. So this phase, we go down. We are more close also to the saboteur. How you say that in English? Sabotage.
Sabotage.
But when you are the saboteur, when you
self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage, yeah. So this phase is really interesting because of the progesterone, which is not so sympathetic at first, because it's a big drop in the energy and in the emotional world. But in the same time, this hormone is bringing us the other side of the curtain. So this is what is going on. Woohoo! Welcome the witch. Now happen, Oh! And then we see everything that doesn't work. So everything that is not totally aligned with my soul, with my feminine soul, is bold, right in my face, for me to see it and to decide, do I want to keep that in my life or not? It could be a job, it could be a relation, it could be, I don't know, whatever. It could be experiences, it could be emotions that I want to get rid of it, whatever it is. So it's really bold, as a kind of, woo, do you see it, girl? So we cannot miss it. And we are really fragile, because going the other side of the curtain, let us be in contact with the shadow, our shadow. We go the other side. We now cannot hide these things I don't want to see, So this is one of the more precious part of the premenstruation.
Yeah.
How do you say SPM, PMS in English? SPM?
PMS.
PMS.
They call it
I'm always confused with it in French. So the PMS is our guru. We really need to listen to what's going on. So the proposition is, you have a journal and you write down everything that comes up, everything what you see. You don't judge yourself, you don't censor it. If you have a bright revelation, sometimes it's not a good idea to act now, because emotionally we are up, and physically, with the energy, we are absolutely not in a phase we can hold it in a healthy way. It's not time to go to see your partner and say, you know what, I saw that, it's gonna just make a whole shit. You write it down in your journal. It's here, I cannot lose it. It's okay. You have to move. As I said, the energy, pre-ovulation and premenstruation are more active phases. So we need to let it go, because as soon as I contact my shadow part, I contact also all the energy who was stuck up with the emotion in the body. I need to move to let it go out. Otherwise, it's going to blow my fuse,
And that's what happens for a lot of women, and that's
run, dance, yoga, whatever, move your body and express yourself. We need to express ourselves. So art, paint, poetry, whatever. And the result is not what it is important. We need to let this overflow, go. And it's also the part where when I was in the ovulation phase, and I was like praising and giving gratitude for who I am and what I receive and all the abundance and what I achieve. The next part is also the part we have to forgive, because we see where the problems, in brackets, meaning more like the parts of our life that are not in line, or are not good anymore for us. Sometimes it was good and it's not good anymore. How I forget. No, not forget, forgive. Sorry. How I forgive the other for whatever experience that was not nice, how I forgive myself. And once again, if I get back to my connection with Earth, I know I'm here to experience, and I do not need to feel guilty of whatever I did as I did it. You know? Not meaning that I have no consciousness and there is no consequence to what I do. I'm really speaking about sometimes we were in a not good relationship with a man and we were not unable to put good boundaries. And suddenly when you realize, I have my part of responsibility in that. I was the one who was not putting these boundaries. Sometimes it's okay. So it's a time we can also forgive ourselves for what we didn't did. So, you know.
So it's that time for like reflection. And what I keep on learning about it is that it's a cycle of evolution.
Yeah.
So like what you're saying, it's like, this is an opportunity for us to actually, evolve and not stay in the loop,
Yes.
So it's not a circle. I see it as a spiral.
Ascendant spiral.
And we journal on like, what went well, what didn't, and all that stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's still yet, I've been doing the cycles for, I don't know, maybe 4 years now. And it's still the hardest phase for me personally. It's that phase of like sitting with myself in the mirror, the shadow work, and really honoring and facing myself, my shadows. So that's still, for me, that's still the most challenging phase, I would say. Yeah.
That's interesting. It's interesting. I can make a parallel with what you just said and what we said before. At the beginning of this conversation, we were talking about how for women, it's still sometimes difficult to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And now we see how it is difficult for us to let go. Really interesting. Really interesting. The more I'm in a posture, I can welcome all this abundance and wisdom and trust. Do you trust the present moment? Do you trust where we are? The more it's easy to let go.
Yep. I love that. Yeah.
And so, and you know what you can write it down. It's really important what I'm going to say. You can prepare yourself for this phase. When you were in your champion phase, at some time when you write down your cycle, you know exactly when the shit's gonna hit the fan, And during my ovulation time, when I was really in the care, sometimes I write myself letters that I put in my journal. And when I'm like in the phase of the, I'm alone and I'm gonna die, I can read my notes. And for a long time, I put all around my mirrors, and I think you see some papers like that at my place, in front of the sink, close to the toilet. Everywhere I can see that. It, like everything, it doesn't last. That was the more difficult thing for me to embody with my PMS.
Yeah.
That I was like totally out of the thing and I was dying 3 times a day. It's no joke, And then I was, for example, in the ovulatory phase also buying some special chocolate in a break now. Or preparing a special blend with sea salt and,
essential
oils, whatever. So prepare the phase you were in the mother, I can mother myself too.
Yeah.
And so you can prepare little treats for the time. And one thing, if you go to bed, this is another important thing. We feel really active. We have a lot of energy. Okay. For the women who had babies, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Perhaps 2 weeks, 10 days before give birth, we have this rush of energy. We feel like superwoman. We just want to repaint the whole fucking place and move all the furniture, but it's not time, because the body is sending us a huge amount of energy, because he knows what's going to happen in a couple of days, and you need that energy. Same thing in the PMS. We receive a lot of energy, and it's difficult to think, oh, good, I need to go to sleep 1 hour earlier. Because our body doesn't feel like that, you know. But for the women, for example, who are more prone to have belly, how you say that? When the belly hurts, when you are bleeding, when it's a lot of, you know,
cramps,
yeah. When it's difficult. Please, women, even if you don't feel like it, the 2 days before menstruating, go at least 1 hour early, as usual. And it makes a whole difference. But it's difficult to find that, because our body, he's not like that. He said, seriously, do you want me to go on the sofa? Yeah, I want you to go on the sofa now. And we're going to rest with the book if you don't want to sleep, you know, but something really quiet.
I love that. Claire, I also want to name that for me, that phase of, like, when you were saying, prepare yourself, you know, create a nest for yourself. I also encourage women, like when we go through the cycles as well, I also encourage myself and others to, if you are living with a partner, if you have, you know, children and, you know, a partner who you live with, prepare them for your cycle. They'll be so grateful, because a few rounds into it, they're actually like, at this point, my man is so happy to cook for me, to make me a tea, to even, like, you know, draw a bath for me. And it's nice because they know that I am nicer and I am more present, and I'm not, you know, I don't take my stuff out on them ever, you know, after that. When I have that nice cushion, when I have space for me, they're just like, oh, you probably need alone time. Even Jasmine, she goes, Mom, you need some alone time right now. How about I make you a bath? You know, they're so cute. But they know
exactly that. It's the way we are gonna birth the new world. It's being ourselves and sharing our needs. And everything about our cycle to our family or relatives that we are living. And then the next step is your work, you know?
Yeah, beautiful. Claire, we can go on and on and on, you and I, for a while. Let's just welcome, if you guys have 1 or 2 questions, let's take like maybe 1 or 2 questions for Claire Do, especially if you're in the private group, safe space to like really, you know, put your full questions out there. And then I want to just create some closure around that.
But I just want to talk about when we bleed, because it's really important. So when we get down, we cannot miss this part. When we get totally down the wheel, when we are bleeding, then we go in a very, very precious time. Menstruation is a very sacred time. Here in North America, they say we are in TOA. It's like we are in a special duty. Science also is very interested. They put like some sensors on women's head, and they discovered that when we are bleeding, we are on alpha. We are totally full meditation waves. So it's why we feel dizzy, and we are not, it's not time to work out, to do whatever. We are already in a full-time job, processing things. So this is the time you take back your notes and you reread what you discover in the PMS phase. And then in the same time you are bleeding, if you can take this time you were talking about, then you sit down and you can let it go and thank for what it was and let it go. And you can do it in pieces. It's not everything in the same time, but during these days. And the more we do that in this phase, the more we are attuned, because every month we have the chance to, the only word that comes is get rid, but it's not harsh. It's I don't pitch things that I don't want anymore. It's I give it back to Mother Earth with reverence for her to compost it with my blood.
Yeah.
And to create the new soil, fertile soil for the new cycle. It's why we never ever throw our blood in the toilet or in the garbage, because it's really sacred. With the cups, or if you have how you say that, protection, how you say, ecological protection, you can squish your thing in the water, you keep the water, you put it in your plants. If you have a garden, you put it outside and you give it back to Mother Earth. And there is a thought, the Hopi, the native Hopi, they have this beautiful thought. They say the day women learn to give back their blood to Mother Earth, men can stop the war and go back home and sow peace on earth. And we really need to learn that. Blood is the menstrual blood is the only blood that we don't have with violence. Yeah. It's coming naturally out of the body. It's a blessing. It's full of life. And if I don't use it for a baby, I give it back to Mother Earth as food, because she's giving me food. And then the full circle is closed. And then I can pretend my connection with Mother Earth, because it's the original mother. It's the original woman, Mother Earth. And she is teaching me how to live, how to be.
Especially if we have our garden. I know some women have land and your plants. And if we honor our own garden with ourselves through our body, we deepen that connection. And I've heard stories like with the Anaya Sophia, who came out here. She's like, my garden is so beautiful. Like she can just see the expression of flowers and the plants that are intentional, that are seeded and infused with our intention and prayers, not just for ourselves, but also for our tribe, for our men, for our children, right? So it's so beautiful. So we are back from the whole journey of the universe, and we're back to where we started with the Great Mother and our relationship with nature, our connection to the earth, and honoring where we came from and who we are. Full cycle. So Claire Jo, thank you so much. There is, of course, a question about her. She says, menopause. It's menopause, and she goes, can we talk for another hour session?
Yes, there is a lot to say about menopause.
Okay, so how about you can answer maybe the question briefly, but maybe we can have you back.
Menopause, we have 7 doors in life with the sacred blood. The first is our birth. The second time is our first menstruation. The third time is our first sexual relation. The fourth time is having a baby. Some women do not have this one, but many women. Then we have the blood coming back after breastfeeding. Then we have the menopause, and then we have death. So menopause is the last sacred door with our blood. And as I said, this is the moment we keep our wisdom inside. The native, they say, the first time you bleed, you encounter your power. During all your fertile years, when you are bleeding, you are walking your power, and the day you stop bleeding, you become your power. So this is what happened for menopause. And menopause, yeah, it's the big transformation where we have been given for years. We had the opportunity to make babies or not. We made a lot of projects, but we don't need to birth things the same way now. So we keep this energy inside, and instead of nourishing the closest family or our kids or partner and how you say that, closed family that are close to us, we can open us to share our story. It's time to share our stories. It's time to hold the community. We step back a little bit because we don't need to be in the middle of the fight anymore. We don't have this energy anymore. We make a step back, and with all what we have going through during our life, that counts. Our miscarriages, our abortions, our how you say that, the heart broken by love stories, whatever, the death of a kid or the death of a partner, whatever you have been going through, it's your story. It's unique. It's precious. And we need to share that for the one who come after us. And it's time to hold the community. It's, the camera cannot see, but have my arms open like a circle from a bit far away. And this is the task of the menopausal woman. In native societies, they become a grandmother, even if you don't have kids or grandchildren.
Yeah.
It's time to share our story. But before to be able to share my story, I have to acknowledge my own story. And remember that it has a value. Every single step I did, all the time we have courage. All the time we are on the floor and we stand up, and go back in the middle of the chaos, Every single thing we did like that count. And menopause is a time we need to share it.
Wow. You're gonna I'm all cheered up of what you're sharing, and what a precious gift this is, of the cycles of being cyclical in our natures, mystical beyond reason, creative, beyond what we can ever possibly even know, because even the things that we can put form to and words to, I still trust and know that there are layers and layers beyond layers that are unseen, that are just going out and out and out, and they vibrate back in and out. So I honor you so much for being, a sister, a mentor, a friend, and so much more in this lifetime and other lifetimes. And I keep on learning and laughing with you throughout all the cycles, right? We have such a blast. So, Claire Do, thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you? I know you do private sessions. You also do ceremonies with the eclipses and the equinoxes. So how can people get in touch with you and study and learn more from you?
So they can go on IG, Instagram. If you go, I have a link tree, link whatever.
Okay.
And there is the newsletter. They can sign up. It's in French. Otherwise, you can go on my Facebook, because I need to translate my site in English too. Now it's only in French. And you can also go on my Facebook page. There you see more events and stuff. So we can join there too. And they can write me in the messenger of my Facebook MoonSistars page.
Beautiful.
I love to exchange, and yeah.
We're going to pop that link in the chat so you can get in touch with Claire Do. I know you're offering something coming up next week, probably for the spring equinox as well.
Right? Next Sunday, I'm doing a ritual for Ostara. Ostara is the equinox, and this is so perfect, you know. And this one is really precious, you know, because for 1 year, I'm not gonna say what's going on because everybody knows what's going on, but the spring, and Ostara is exactly the moment where we shift from, you know, because when you I don't like this word, but it's the only one that comes now, empty yourself, you know, then you create space for receiving. So the end of the moment I'm menstruating, when the blood is less important, this is this time. Listen, we are still, you know, something is gone and something is coming. We don't still know what's going on, but we know that everything is possible and everything is already there, all over. And so Ostara, this moment in spring, is exactly that, you know.
Beautiful.
And when we need to put our intention for the whole year, we are beginning the wheel again. So celebrating all these things is also a tool to go back to our cycles. When I can, how you say syntonize in English? When I can sync myself. When I can sync myself with the cosmic rhythm, and then it's bring me back to my own rhythm. No, it's the 8 of infinity going.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm also feeling like this is a very unusual spring, unusual year, unusual time on planet Earth right now. So a lot of us are completely reinventing ourselves, pivoting our lives, moving countries, like changing the way we do our life. Maybe some people are planting their gardens or starting a new career path, moving their businesses online. So there's a lot of like, we hear a lot about the essentials. To me, that's been the conversations about like focusing on what are really my deep, deep, deep essentials, and how can I plant these seeds with intention and then nurture them properly into these beautiful environments. So thank you so much for
Merci. Thank you for the invitation. It's always such a pleasure. I have to admit something. It's a secret, girls. I want to jump in my screen. I want to hug you. You are too far. I miss you.
I love you so much. I love you so much. And Claire, I really love that quality that no matter which phase we're in, just like the moon, no matter which phase we're in, whether we're crying and the shit is hitting the fan or we are celebrating and it's like la joie de vivre, we're always laughing about it. And that's the quality that I really appreciate you. And with your, the phase in your life where you're in now, I think you're embodying it even more. And with every year you get even like more fun and just like not making it so serious, that's the beauty.
We are a glitch in the matrix, seriously. Life is not perfect. Life is not Instagrammable, that's not true. We are what we are, and this is what is cool about it.
I love you so much. And I'm going to share a little bit about the program that I'm offering now to the women. And I also want to mention that you're going to be a guest there in our inner circle, that we can really dive deeper into these conversations and make them personal. And I'm so honored to, have sisterhood and grow together and support each other in our bright light and who we are as women.
It's precious. And we are healing the competition also. And you were saying that everybody has major changes in their life. And you know what? This is the sign we are really birthing the new earth.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave people with the quote that you left me with, and you really like, had that quote come into you and downloaded that. And I love to share that with the women in my community. And you said the woman, if the woman has the power to create life, she also holds the power to create her own life. So I want to leave people with that, feel into that quote that came to you. And thank you so much, Claudio, for being here with us.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you, everyone.
Love you. Have a beautiful day. I will take another moment to wrap it all up and say what's next to you all. Thank you, love. Oh, so good. So good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in with us for this entire week. We had an amazing week of conversations. We made sure that we bring this conversation to you as an experience. And I really want you to ultimately take this information and make it personal. Journal, you have a beautiful workbook that comes with it, right? So make sure that you take notes. You take actions also on what is next. How can you deepen into those conversations? So I'm really, really happy and honored. We are announcing 2 extra days. We're going to be on tomorrow as well at 1 p.m. And I'm going to go into full-on integration of the retreat. So integration has been a huge part of my life and being in ceremonies, but ultimately integrating what we're receiving, integrating and making it tangible, embodying this information, right? So tomorrow we're going to go into integration, and then drum roll for Tuesday. Tuesday here, I'm going to have a special guest, Greg Rex, and he's going to bring on the masculine perspective, so the sacred masculine perspective of life, of things, and so tune in for that. Same time, 1 p.m., same place in the community, and we'd love to have you tune in and wrap it up strong. And also, I want to speak into, like I've been mentioning, our inner circle, our inner community, where we get to really work every week. We get to dive in and commit to a greater container. And I'd be doing you an unfavor, disfavor, if I didn't have anything to follow up with. So this is what came. And in the beginning of the year, I launched a program that is the Medicine Wheel program. So it's a year-long apprenticeship program with me. And in there, we go in into these conversations every week. We have topics, beautiful, inspirational topics, and they're really built from both perspectives. There is the feminine perspective, where we do dive into the creative energy, the elimination, the destructive energy in us, the inspirational, our creativity. How does that creativity live in you? What wants to emerge? Especially now, again, as we enter the spring, is like, what is a new dream? What is your new vision for your life, for the life around you, the people that are there, the beautiful gifts, the expression of your sacred work, all of that. And then I bring in a lot of the masculine perspective as well, from the personal development background, and how to make that tangible, really, like how to curve out time. So we have a vision and purpose workshops in there. We have a time management class that is in there, how to prioritize yourself, stay energized, and bring that in. And so you have a full on participation once a week with the community. I can't say enough about the circle and the community and how women really show up for each other and support each other's dreams. High five on each other. It's been so incredibly amazing. And we have an online course there as well, where you get to do the work on your own as well. It's the Embodied Feminine online course. It comes with a workbook. So you really get to journal into these topics. We have a whole, module on cycles as well, and your purpose, your vision, and how to create this roadmap for your whole year, for your next cycle. So if you want to learn more about it, we're going to pop the link in the chat in there and check it out. It's going to be in there, and invite you, if you're curious, send me a little message, hop in a chat, see if it's aligned with you. I offer two options usually. Is like you can either join in the full year as a deep dive option, and you can also join in for a 90-day, a whole season. So the whole season of spring that you can hop in for and join us for that season. That could be fun too. Thank you so much. They're popping in the link in the chat. So beautiful. If you have any questions and comments, let us know. Let us know. We're really here to support you, to celebrate you, and celebrate our, the women in our life, the community. So thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate your time today. Spending the sacred Sunday with you all. Beautiful conversations about our cycles and who we are. We're going to post a link afterwards in our community about your takeaways and your home play about the cycles and the conversation today. So tune into that, please. Love you all so much. It's been such a beautiful week of connections, of connections and conversations, and it really, learning more about you all, about our stories and all these facets and all the phases of who we are. And I'm also excited about the next phase of who we are becoming as women, as sisters, and who we are in the world, what we are creating also. So much beauty and transformation. Love you all so much. Thank you. Wishing you a beautiful Sunday, all. Thank you, sisters. Mm-mm-mm.